Hello. Happy today. For me, today is Sunday the 17th of January, 2021. Also on the calendar of the Mayans, as they have placed themselves different from the calendar that calls this January 17th. This is the day, I believe it's 2 Taj and the number 2 and the TOJ, which is Taj. Come in combination, which mean it's a divine repayment to our community, which I find that is entirely appropriate since the last couple days, as it's progressed in the astrology of the Mayans, has been about seed sowing, seed planting, seed sowing. So in the art and the day that is dedicated, which is tomorrow in our everyday life, tomorrow is MLK, which has also been dubbed the day to participate in service. So this practice will be in service of the seed. So I attend and intend to bring information that helps us make the foundation, right? So perhaps this is like to you in the metaphor of preparing the soil, and perhaps if your soil is already set, the seed planting, it requires a certain amount of care, right? Every seed is unique and different, and not every seed requires the same kind of preciousness in handling, right? So consider yourself the caregiver to the seed. So how you handle, how you place its depth, and what means and intentions you put into its marrying into the foundation and earth that you do. So we'll do that together with the information and the practice. So let's do this together. We'll start with 3 breaths, eyes open or closed, and just get a sense of feeling where you're sitting right now, how your seat is on the floor and how your spine is long and stacked above it. Perhaps where your energy might be swaying, whether it's in your thought, and that's okay, or if it's in an actual position in your extremities, your arms or your shoulders, your hips or your legs, perhaps your neck or your head. And for wherever any of that is, find an ideal space for you to take these 3 breaths together. Inhale. In through the nose and nice and smooth out through the mouth. Inhale again when you're ready. Number 3. Let your hands come together so that you can feel your dedication, feel your sense of presence for where you are now and what we're about to do. Okay? Just by bowing, right, in that namaste form, this namaste, if you're new to doing this gesture, it's in the simplest form described as the light in me is the light in you, right? But you can also see that in the way that, right, forget that definition, and how do we connect, right? How do we cosmically, energetically, how we physically, right, feel the heat of presence, the warmth in each other's eyes, or the care that you give towards caring about others, right? So care given, care received. Here we are. Okay, simple acts to support our community, right, in our energy. I'm coming to stand to start. And because we're moving into, let's say we can call this a little bit of some basics, right? 2 of the big areas that we hit in practice of yoga and mobility, right, are hips and our shoulders, right? And in between those, right, is our spine, right? So this channel that is our energy waves up and down that influence our head space, right? Our brain waves up and out, our divinity, right? Maybe our enlightenment. Actually, divinity, I would say, maybe is in the downward region, right? So down towards the earth and into the ground, and which keeps us rooted, right? So I'm just moving side to side of your hips, so you can also side to side of my hips, right? And so this little swaying seems pretty simple, right? So you can teach this to any person of any age, and we'll all benefit from it, right? So if I show you from the side, I'm actually swaying forward and back at a diagonal. So I'm going back left, front right, back left, front right. And I'm just gonna switch it front left, back right, front left, back right. And my floor is very creaky right now, so it's following along with me. So it's participating in this journey of the community, right? Now I'm gonna do a couple swivels. So around, right? You can go any direction that you want. Right now I'm going counterclockwise, and now I'm just gonna switch, and now I'm going clockwise. And you might notice that it gets more exaggerated, and not just because you get more comfortable doing it, but that is also a true thing, but you actually are influencing the mobility in the space. And so you can feel this already, right? So you just play with this, you giggle along, you move, you wiggle, you swivel, and space is created, right? And so we're in January, the first fourth of the year, so we should be moving more spaciously. Now I'm just gonna pedal shoulders back. Right, and so though the shoulders and the hips are our primary places, right, the big girdle muscles that give us sort of the most ability to reach in dynamic ways, now I'm pedaling forward. We can't forget that our elbows, knees, wrists, and ankles are also a big part of that. So we're going to also pay attention to those, right? So it's pretty easy to get into these movements, right? Now I'm just gonna get them both back, and then both forward, right? I know I'm going a little bit quick. You don't have to go as quick as me, right? I'm just trying to stay on a little time schedule so you know you stepped into this for a half an hour, and that's what you should expect, and not have to stay any longer, right? You can always go longer and pause, right? So wrists. So funny thing about elbows is, right, when you consider elbows and knees, there's hardly a lot of ways we can stretch the elbows and knees, but we can influence what's above and below those joints, right? So above our elbows, right, biceps and triceps, and then below are our forearms, front and back, and then you know the legs, right? Quads and hamstrings above, and then below the knees are our calves, and then what's in the front of the shin, right? So those are gonna get a little bit more influenced by the actual movements of our practice, right? So we're sewing it all together to create harmony. And in the art of service to the community of the body, and the harmony of everything that keeps all these systems at play and fluid and flowing, right? So there we go. So that's that. Right? So we didn't do the ankles like we did the feet. I'm just going to my mat. I'm standing on one foot just to do a couple little circles both directions with one foot. This is my right. And you can switch when you're ready. So I also want to encourage you to remember that you have fingers and toes, so you'll influence them, you'll use them, you'll encourage them to participate as well as we move through these practices too. So nothing is off the table, right? So what we do want to do is make sure that we breathe throughout the system. So however much space that we create, even in this little half hour, that you can also feel that it's nothing gets left behind, okay? I'm gonna start first with just feet pretty wide, right? Not my maximum width, because that's not necessary right now. We're not pushing into anything too hard today, but it's a little wider than your hips, right? My feet are pointing straight forward, so you imagine my feet are parallel, and if that doesn't make as much sense, you can push down to your toes, lift your heels, and widen the heels, and you just get a little bit more of this feeling that you can kind of access the whole length of your foot, right? The tendency is we often sit very heavy and very often back in our heels, okay? Take your arms up to the sky and reach. Let the palms touch, and just gently let them slide down to your heart. Release your arms to your sides. We'll do two more like that. So when you take your inhale, right, think of sweeping widen up, and you look up and you feel like there's no more breath to take in, and then you let it just smoothly exhale down through, past your heart, down towards the floor. Okay, one more. And exhaling it all the way out. So typically in the practice too, if you hadn't heard the cue on breath, I know that we started in the beginning, inhale through the nose and out through the mouth on the exhale. We try to do most of the breathing through the nostrils, right? So they stay readily open and keep sort of a circular flow. But if you're congested or for whatever reason it's easier, right, do what keeps you moving, right? So don't let your breath create any anxiety. Okay, over to my right heel. I'm rotating on my right heel to turn my toes out to the right, and then just bring the foot to the floor. A gentle bend to the knee. So this is set up for warrior one, and I like to do this like hands at the hips, and just notice how easily you can turn your hips open, and then turn your hips towards that bent knee, right? So with each hand on each knee, you can kind of feel, if you move through this, let's say 3 or more times, just kind of practicing what's rotating and what's moving. It's not just that you're shifting your direction of your chest or your heart, but you're actually moving the pelvis in relationship to these leg bones, right? So you're moving the pelvis as on these little sort of ball sockets of the leg bones, which is pretty cool. Then we're gonna stand here. If you take the arms up, then we're in warrior one. You take your hands down and you touch, and then we'll gently straighten the right leg, and you get that triangle shape that is a pyramid pose, just a hamstring stretch in that leg. Okay, if you turn on that heel and you walk back towards the middle. Okay, now we're gonna take a bigger, deeper breath on the inhale, back up to stand, go all the way up with the arms, and then the exhale comes down to the heart. Okay, turn on the left heel to your left, and place the toes to the floor. So whole foot, make sure you can feel those toes to the floor, and then you bend your knee. Okay, same as before, getting a feeling they're not always the same on both sides, holding the hips. You might feel that when you're squaring off towards your left knee, that you might even give your right hip a little push forward with your right hand, and then that left hand is an assist to pull your left hip back to the left. So that in essence is trying to put your hips more at an even space towards your left foot, okay? And try to keep your left knee right over your left ankle as you open and close the front of your pelvis, right? So I'm calling this open, right? Pulling this open. This is more of a warrior two shape into warrior one. And then I'll open again, and then one more to close it, right? So here we are. Arms up, eyes up, and then belly in, okay? So you get that belly in, you're gonna feel that from that action of pulling in your abdominal wall towards you, right? It's gonna also support your low back so it doesn't feel like you're crushing into it, right? You're rising from the front and the back, right? So evenly up, and then follow the exhale down. Hands touch, left leg straightens. So, right, I think that when we're stepping into the deeper aspects of stretch mobility, right? So strength and flexibility, there's a nice tingle that comes along with it. And we want to just make sure that we participate with that tingle. So it's not like we're just dropping into a tight muscle, but we're actually honoring that tight muscle by appreciating that, right, for whatever it's worth, where that tightness came from, is that it's meant, it's there to kind of support us and keep us tethered together, right? So not such a bad thing, but we want sort of that, we want a balance, right? So if this has any kind of sensation that is too extreme, right, you back off by just bending that knee or the joint, and it's going to go to a place where the challenge is appropriate or right for you. Right? Turn on the heel, you come back through the middle. And so like last time, but a little bit deeper, if you could bend your elbows right here, and if the answer is no, then fine, then you keep your arms straight. Right? So if there's any space where you can bend your elbows to drop the head and just go a little deeper, okay? Then this inhale, you can even push off the floor, the arms go up, and the hands come down. Perfect. Awesome. I'm gonna turn on my right heel again, over to the right, bend that knee, arms go up. Here's your warrior one, and we'll include the arms, so 3 times we'll open up to warrior two. All right, so if it's a better reference for you or your shoulders to have your hands at your hips for now, have them there. That's warrior two to warrior one. Left hip is wrapping towards the direction of your right knee. You open up, warrior two. exhale, see if you can use that to go back to warrior one. The inhale opens warrior two. Exhale to warrior one. And then this next inhale, you'll take it up here in a nice full form of warrior one, and then you bring your hands down to the floor, right? Like before we straighten the leg, right? There's your hamstring stretch. A little bit different here, we're gonna bend that right knee, lift your heels so you have a lunge pose, okay? And then you're just gonna step the right foot back. So now you have plank pose. And we're gonna practice a little bit of our plank and side planks today. So I'm going to have you take your heels to the right. Okay, hands are still on the floor. Sweep your heels, now turn them to the left. You're going to feel a lot of twisting through the hips, midsection. Sweep them to the right again. And then to the left. Again to the right, so this is number 3 on the right side. So pause here. And see if you can take the left arm up to the sky. It can be very, very wobbly here, right? A little wiggle, left arm to reach forward. You can even watch the hand as you come back, and heels to the left. Right arm up. And feel all those muscles, and joints, everything that we're appreciating here. Watch the arm reach forward, hand to the floor. Again, step, right foot back. So we're just kind of going back in reverse, cut back to the center. Straighten the right leg, turn to your wide straddle, and then if the elbows can bend, drop the spine, drop the head. Okay, inhale all the way up. Exhale, hands to the heart. To the left, here we go. Knee bends, arms up, warrior one. The inhale is warrior two, right? And you're gonna notice, just like when we did our swivels, you might be kind of graduating yourself to a wider stance, so feet getting a little bit wider away from each other. Still, really, the maintenance on this is left knee stays over the left heel. Sorry. Exhale to warrior one. That was only the first warrior two. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, warrior one. Inhale, warrior two. That's 3. Exhale, warrior one. You're gonna take another inhale as to kind of let that settle in, to fill up and inflate. And then exhale, hands to the floor. Okay, again, straighten the leg. There's those juicy hamstrings, feeling pretty good. When you exhale to bend that knee, that back heel comes up, you're in a low lunge. It's a step to plank pose. Okay, so we did planks on the last one. We'll do planks with side planks on this one. A little bit more though. Take the heels to the left. Lift the arm to the sky, let it sweep up, and then just kind of entirely follow the circle, forward and then down. That's when heels go up. Take heels to the right. You'll use that left arm to make a circle, right? So sweeping towards the feet, to the sky, then out in front of you, and as the hand comes to the floor, the heels go back up. So that's 1 time on each side there. Let's do 2 more each side. So heel goes left, inhale, follow breath, arm up. And then when the hand comes down, that's where your exhale goes, right? Next, inhale, heels go right, left arm's back and up, and then that fall is that exhale to hand down, heels to up. Okay, so that's 2 on both sides. Now let's go 1 more time. This side, heels go left, inhaling, arm to reach, exhaling, hand to land, right? Inhaling, heels, arm to the sky. Exhaling, hand to the floor. Right, we'll shift back to a down dog. So that's just a gentle lift of the hips. Heels are off the floor. You're just appreciating that there is space still to move around, right? Whether your heels are quite high. If you need to bend your knees, also fine. Right, make adjustments, maybe hands wider. If more narrow hands, then fine, if that works for you. But generally we think about sort of making space for our feet to step between our hands. So shoulder width is our kind of our guideline, and then we make adjustments from there. Okay, left foot steps forward, back heel goes down, left leg straightens. Turn on the heel, so heels are a good heavy place to pivot from, and then you can land and then spread back into the toes, lean forward. forward to bow. There's a nice breath energy of appreciation here, everything in harmony. Inhale all the way up. Whee! Hands to the heart. So we've done warrior 1, warrior 2, and we'll do warrior number 3. And that'll be a wrap. So that's kind of our warrior journey for today, but there are a couple more warriors that we'll get into on our next set, okay? Again, turn to the right, warrior 1. All right, next inhale, warrior 2. And then here we go. Come back to warrior 1, and then we're gonna open the arms, and I find that this is kind of the most, watch out for your stuff around you. Balancing to begin with, arms out to the sides like an airplane. Okay, so I'm gonna lean into my right foot and try to balance my left hip to my right hip. So if you have your hands on your hips, that can be really helpful. We gently just step that right back to our warrior 1. Okay, go back to warrior 2. So we'll do 3 warrior 3s on this side, right? And we go, exhale to warrior 1. You inhale, lean into that right foot, lift the left heel, warrior 3. That way you can exhale, step back. Here's your warrior 1 more set of that, right? So you might be finding yourself a little more exaggerated on that back bend, which is nice. Inhale, warrior 2. Exhale to warrior 1. And then lean to breathe up into your warrior 3. So you can really work with, if you feel comfortable letting go of the hips, reach your arms either towards the back, towards the sides, and a little more challenge towards the front. Right? Foot steps down. You're in low lunge. Okay? We're gonna step to plank pose. And we're gonna actually take the vinyasa a little more sort of backwards. So we're gonna drop the hips. Arms are sturdy, go to the tops of the feet. And so here's a cobra pose. Thighs are on the floor. And then we're gonna actually lift the butt like you're gonna go into an all fours. And you bend your elbows, look forward, touch your chest and your chin to the floor. This is knees, chest, chin. Okay? And now when you press the floor away, you slide back to a little child's pose. So hips towards the heels, forehead touch the floor. Okay? Awesome. Now when you come back up, we're in plank pose. We go one side plank on each side, heels go to the left. Inhaling, right arm up, forward, and then down. Okay, next inhale, heels to the right, left arm up, forward, and down. And then very gently step right foot forward, back heel down, right leg straighten. Okay, we're going to our wide straddle to the center again, over the left shoulder, and drop your head. And one more set of those. Arms up to stand, hands to your heart, and arms down. Last side, right? Take your next exhale, turn to your left. Warrior 1, left knee bends. Right, inhale, warrior 2. And here's our warrior 3 to the left foot. So you inhale over into your left leg. Lean to step, lean into the toes, lift from your glutes. Hands could be at the hips, okay? You step back and down, heel down, hearts up. And then inhale, warrior 2, okay? Exhale, warrior 1. Take your time, inhale, lean into the foot, reach to lift. Right, if you need to be lower in the heel to kind of accommodate or find balance, then do so. Here's our third set, warrior 1. Inhale, warrior 2, hips open. And back, exhale, warrior 1. Inhale to warrior 3. And then this is gonna go exhale to low left. So right foot steps back and down. You're gonna step this into a plank pose. And we're gonna do a modified version of our vinyasa here. So we're just gonna drop the hips, try to feel the chest go forward as the upper arms pull back behind you, right? So that's gonna be a big upper back strengthening right here. So knees are already on the floor. Easy to lift the hips to get to all fours. And then right here, you're gonna stick your butt up behind you, get a big arch in your back. And then looking forward, let your chin touch, maybe your chest too. Knees, chest, chin, shoulders are lifting. You push the floor away, and you allow your hips to go back into child's pose. So arms forward for now, hips back towards your heels, forehead, if it's okay, touching the floor. Let your elbows even drop to the floor, so really give yourself the space you need to accommodate the seed that you're sowing, right? So allowing what nutrients are necessary for this, and as well what really sort of allows that seed to grow, right? So what kind of space, what kind of energy. Coming back to all fours, I'm just gonna have us come to a nice, neat, little seated position. Okay, we didn't get a lot of twists, so we're gonna add twists in this way. This is a pretty easy way to get into some really good twists. So you start with feet on the floor, knees are bent, my feet are a little bit wider than the hips. Take your knees to the left, and you're still facing forward with the chest. So you notice your hips take you into the twist, and your chest is right where you started it from, okay? Knees come back up. This is also for your hips too. Knees go to the right, heart still stays forward. You might need to really kind of engage a little bit behind that left shoulder to accommodate. I'm also using a little bit of hands on the floor, okay? We're gonna do 2 more of those on each side. Knees go left. Okay, you inhale the knees up, you exhale knees right. And also, if you hadn't noticed already, when you do these little windshield wiper knees, your sit bones slightly start to walk themselves forward, so you might find yourself kind of off your mat right here, which is fine. Nothing we can't fix or change or let it just be, right? Fine, fine, fine. Knees go left one more time. We're gonna let this one be a little bit more challenging. Keep the knees to the left, and you're gently just gonna lean over that right thigh. It's not gonna go very far. You'll feel a stretch from that back left into the crest of your pelvis, up towards your ribs, maybe towards the side of your face. Your hands are kind of pushing the floor away. So we're not struggling on this one, so you don't need to round the back. You can lead with your chest space. Okay, inhale, come up, knees up. Exhale, knees right. Okay, as long as you're comfortable in that, then lean forward. If your knee's a little uncomfortable, or for whatever reason that might be, you could have that knee be on your foot, right? So it would give it a little bit of padding. It would also maybe accommodate if there's some kind of past experience, some history in your mobility that needs some padding, some space, some attention. Okay, come back to the middle. Yay. All right, last piece. This one's always a good one. Feet together. This is like you're looking down towards your toes. I use my fingers to hold my toes. I use the big toe knuckles to push towards each other. And then as the toes lift, right, both by using your hands to do so, but also the energy of your toes, right, the extensors to extend the toes and lift them. This is gonna allow your knees and your hips, the inner thighs, to open as your outer thighs and your glutes tuck it in, so your knees would probably come closer to the floor. Doesn't necessarily mean they'll go all the way to the floor, but closer. Right, and you could just drop the head. Drop the head here and let the shoulders just kind of breathe across your upper back. Next, inhale, so you take 3 or more breaths there. Knees come together. Okay, I'm coming to a cross-legged position just to sit up nice and tall. All right, you get to your tall seat, close your eyes. We'll take our 3 breaths here for the nourishment, right? For the energy that wraps around the seed, which is our highest intention, right? Highest harmony, highest service, right? So implementing some selfless act to bring in what comes out of this seed, right? So however it will one day be in its fullest bloom will be perfect remedy for what the earth needs, what our friends, our family, our communities, our relationships. Let's take 3 breaths together to close. Inhale. heart, and all the blessings that come out of being in the most harmonious state, to engage, to influence, to participate. Right? Namaste. Here we are again, all of us in this together. Good to see you. Thanks for coming. Peace.